If there was a golden era of children's programming, Square One TV was an illustrious member. The show, which catered to slightly older kids, was math-oriented, teaching multiplication, division, process of elimination, charts, you name it. The show was a major catalyst in me achieving incredible grades in math as a student during that era. I owe so much to Square One TV. As part of the show, some of the segments were game shows where kid contestants would play for small items, usually Square One branded merchandise. Each of these game shows were so much fun to watch that I felt like I could sit through a whole half hour of them, but in the end they only lasted a few minutes each. Today I wanted to pay homage to these game shows. This isn't a ranked list today. I'm not ordering these games, just listing them as they happen chronologically on the show. I'm hoping I remembered all of them. If I did happen to forget one or two, do let me know in the comments and I might make an update of this video. But in the meantime, here we go with the game shows of Square One TV. But who's adding, but who's multiplying? Both versions of this show were hosted by Larry Cedar. It featured two contestants playing against each other in a game where they would move their color ring to a number to create a sum or a product respectively that would go up on the game board. The first player to get 3 in a row would be the winner. Although I found the addition part fairly easy, this was an excellent game to play along with when you're practicing your multiplication tables. Educational television sorely misses shows like this one. But who's counting? This show was more of a comedy show, but it was still fun to play along with. Hosted by the fictional Monte Carlo, this show was for the most part featuring cast members playing contestants instead of real contestants. 5, later 4 numbers would be spun on a wheel, and the player with the largest 5-digit number, later largest fraction, would win. The later versions were a little strange because the game was joined in progress, but it was still fun. Piece of the Pie. This game was essentially Family Feud. Beverly Mickens hosted this game where 2 teams of 3 contestants would face off to try to guess enough answers to cover 50% of a pie chart. The winning team would go on to a variation of Fast Money at the end of the game. I enjoyed this game as much as I enjoyed watching the real Family Feud, at the time hosted by the excellent Ray Combs. Close Call. This game had a few different hosting changes throughout its time on the show. The basic premise is that of the 1-bid round and The Price is Right. It was always fun to see what the next round was going to be because you never knew if it was going to be something like estimate the amount of total candies or measure the circumference of an elephant. It was always something crazy on this one. Triple Play. This game, hosted by Cynthia Darlow, was similar to But Who's Counting and Multiplying, but with a twist. Here, 2 contestants spin 2 wheels with numbers on them. They can add or multiply the numbers to get a sum or product on the game board. The first contestant to score an equilateral triangle, no matter how big or small, wins the game. This was probably my favorite of all of the Square One game shows. It was only played during Season 2. Square One Squares. This was a perfect blend between Hollywood Squares and To Tell the Truth. In this game, hosted by Larry Cedar, 2 contestants try to get tic-tac-toe by guessing whether the 2 cast members are either speaking the truth or bluffing. The real truth teller stands up and the appropriate square is won. This game would only be run briefly before being reimagined into another game. Square One Challenge. This was a revamped version of Square One Squares, but without the Hollywood Squares aspect of it. This time around, both cast members could be telling the truth, or both could be bluffing in addition to being one or the other. This version was played for points instead. Round Off. On this show, 2 contestants played by cast members in costume would simply round off numbers presented by the fictional host played by Louisa Lashin. It was not one of the better games, and clearly a sign that the show was headed in a downward direction. And those are all of the Square One game shows that I can think of. I hope you enjoyed this throwback down memory lane, and if you want to see a video where I rank my favorite 10 MathNet episodes, click here.